Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 1990s Represent. We're starting out our fourth cycle in 1999 with an album, and in this episode, we're talking about Californication by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. One of my favorite albums from them, easily, I think, top two, probably right behind like Blood Sugar Sex Magic. This one is definitely right up there. Incredible album. A little bit more mellowed, and a little bit more mellowed back kind of album from them, following Blood Sugar Sex Magic and One Hot Minute. So kind of a different direction, but I think a direction that worked really well for them, especially with this album. And even other albums like after this, I don't know if, I think By the Way was the follow-up album. I could be mistaken, but I think By the Way kind of followed in that same kind of style. I have some notes about the album. We'll get through those. We'll get to the track list and all that kind of stuff as well. Let me pull this up here. All right, there we go. So, Red Hot Chili Peppers' Californication, first released June 8th, 1999. This is their seventh studio album and the follow-up album to One Hot Minute. Probably going to mispronounce his name, but John Frusciante, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, returned for this album after kind of sitting out One Hot Minute. They brought Dave Navarro in for that one. I thought One Hot Minute was okay. It was not one of my favorites. I listened to it again somewhat recently, and I liked it more now than I think I remember liking it back, because I bought it in 1995. And following up Blood Sugar Sex Magic, I think is kind of a tough act to follow. So I think it kind of paled in comparison to that one. But recently, I liked it. I thought Dave Navarro was fine on the album. There's some pretty good tracks on it. Some of them are forgettable. Some of them were good. Like, I think Warped was good. Aeroplane. But anyway, John Frusciante was not on that album and came back for this one here. This is commercially their most successful album. I was kind of surprised when I was doing my research for that to find out that it wasn't Blood Sugar Sex Magic. But I think, like Blood Sugar Sex Magic came out in 1991. This came out in 1999. I think you can figure like online shopping and things like that obviously hadn't really taken off when that other album came out, when Blood Sugar Sex Magic came out. So I feel like I remember like friends in high school buying CDs online from like, I think it was like CD Now or something like that. You could obviously buy I don't know if you could buy CDs from Amazon right at that point, but it was probably kind of close. So I feel like a lot of the increased sales, it just probably became easier to purchase music, and also this album is just really good as well. But I was kind of a little bit surprised that Blood Sugar Sex Magic wasn't their best selling, and I would have thought that was their best selling one, and this maybe being their second best selling. But this is their most commercially successful album. I think it's sold something like 15 million copies up to this point. But peaked at number 3 on the Billboard 200. Some notes here about their kind of change in style. I think that kind of change in style really started with this album because One Hot Minute was still very much hard rock. Blood Sugar Sex Magic, hard rock. Mother's Milk before that was hard rock. This one, it became more melodic, a little bit more chilled out. I think it's one of like their first kind of album where it's just really chill, like overall, like the entire album is like that. And I think the most recent album I listened to them, or somewhat, was the Return to the Dream Cantina. This is probably their best album. That's probably their best album probably since this one. I also really like By the Way. I thought By the Way was pretty good as well. But they kind of changed their style here a little bit. Like I said, John Frusciante left the band. And I think I was reading that he left due to becoming kind of overwhelmed with the success of the band after Blood Sugar Sex Magic. So he worked on Mother's Milk. Blood Sugar Sex Magic comes out. They kind of blow up out of that one. And he just kind of became overwhelmed with that. Fell into drug addiction, and eventually bandmates and friends of his told him to do rehab. He did that, and then came back to join the band for this album here. And apparently, according to Anthony Kiedis, so they recorded or at least did a lot of the demos and kind of wrote a lot of the music at, like, I think at Flea's like studio at his house. I think it's like he had a studio in his garage or something. And it took John Frusciante a while, like I think Anthony Kiedis said, like a few weeks, to kind of really get reaccustomed and readjusted to playing music with the rest of the band. And as a result of that, took on a more minimalistic approach to playing guitar for this record, which also probably lends itself to the kind of the more relaxed style of this album. Got to bring some quotes up here. I think we got to pull those up. We got some quotes from here from Anthony Kiedis, but they brought Rick Rubin back, who had produced the 2 previous albums. So he did Blood Sugar Sex Magic. He did One Hot Minute. I think at one point, Anthony Kiedis, I got to bring this quote up here about getting a new producer. So I guess like they brought Rick Rubin back, and they at least at the time were maybe a little bit hesitant to bring him back in. Not because he did like a bad job or anything like that. I think his production on those 2 albums is pretty good. But I think they were kind of just saying, we've done 2 albums with this person already. Do we want to really bring this person back in? Maybe just like try something different. But the quote here from Anthony Kiedis, let me just bring this up. It says, quote, "We thought that maybe it was time to get a new producer. Every time you make a record, it doesn't matter how good it was making with it. Every time you make a record, it doesn't matter how good it was working with a producer. And even if you know you're going to end up making a record with that same person again, there's always a day when someone says, do we need to get a new producer?" So, of course, they ended up going with him. And then there was a quote from Rick Rubin about this, where like the production was a lot cleaner this time. It was like, seemed like it was just done in a more, don't really want to say a more professional way. But Rick Rubin has said, described, kind of said, the quote is, day-long pot sessions or sexual indulgences that plagued the recording sessions on previous albums. So basically, the other 2 albums I think are like good, decent to amazing, and was kind of, Rick Rubin was kind of commenting on how this one seems that the production on it was much smoother than those 2 previous albums. Let's see here. There's another quote here from Anthony Kiedis about the composition of the album. And a lot of the band members were going through kind of turmoil at the time, and it resulted in a more, I guess, quote, more sensitive approach that one might expect from a band whose followers are skate punks and fraternity boys. But then Anthony Kiedis had a quote that says they were wanting to, quote, tell tales of wandering souls who've lost their way searching for the American dream in California. And I think that kind of really hits home, like, or hits the point of the album kind of home, where there's all these stories, like a few of them are stories like Californication is like, the quote is like in the song, it's like, space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement, talking about, you know, like it's all future, like Star Trek, of course, is the reference, but it's all this futuristic, like sci-fi show, but it's basically all just produced in a studio. Scar Tissue has a lot of kind of stories on there as well, and then like Californication, probably my favorite track on the album, does that as well. But I just like the quote from Anthony Kiedis saying it's about kind of lost souls finding their way that have like lost the American dream in California. Pretty cool quote there, and it definitely fits the kind of tone of the album. It came out to pretty good reviews. Let me actually just bring some of those reviews up here, pull down to those. So pretty well received, but AllMusic has it at a 4 out of 5. Entertainment Weekly gave it a, looks like a B+. Guardian has it at a 4 out of 5. LA Times only a 2 out of 4. Mojo has it at a 4 out of 5. NME has it, looks like out at a 6 out of 10. 6.8 out of 10 from Pitchfork. Q has it at a 4 out of 5. Rolling Stone also 4 out of 5. And then Uncut had it at a 4 out of 5 as well. And some critics kind of describe this as kind of like the album that kind of revitalized the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like they had a really good peak after, and kind of a big peak of popularity after Blood Sugar Sex Magic. I think they kind of rode that into One Hot Minute. It kind of like One Hot, it kind of dipped a little bit after that. And then I feel that this one, it changed their style going forward to where there was definitely more interest in the band, like leading into like By the Way, kind of like carrying on that kind of style that was set up on this album. But we're going to move into our track list now. So let's see what we have here. We got 15 tracks at about 56 minutes and 24 seconds. So track 1 is Around the World. Pretty good track there. Track 2 is Parallel Universe. Track 3 is Scar Tissue. That's one of the better tracks on the album as well. Track 4 is Other Side. Probably my second favorite track on the album. If I'm going to list them off, it's probably going to be Californication, Other Side, and maybe Scar Tissue as being my top 3. Anyway, Other Side is track 4. Track 5 is Get On Top. Track 6 is Californication. Just a beautiful, awesome song. That digital drum kit I have underneath those notebooks over there. I always remember watching a Drumeo video on how to play Californication. Like I think the instructor was showing it, where the most basic pattern and then adding like embellishments, or not embellishments, but like accenting and stuff like that. So at one point, it's been a while since I messed around with it, but I was learning Californication on that little digital drum kit. It's not a full drum kit, of course, but it was kind of cool. Anyway, so that was track 6. Track 7 is Easily. Track 8 is Porcelain. Track 9 is Emmett Remus. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Track 10 is I Like Dirt. Track 11 is The Velvet Glove. Track 12 is Savior. Track 13 is Purple Stain. Track 14 is Right on Time. And track 15 is Road Trippin'. So again, 15 tracks, 56 minutes and 24 seconds overall. And just a great lineup on this album. Of course, you have Anthony Kiedis on vocals, John Frusciante returning on guitars, Flea on bass, of course, an amazing bassist, and then, of course, Chad Smith on drums. And Chad Smith's drumming on this album is just incredible. He's always good, but very good drumming on this album. And it all kind of came together and created this just amazing album. Like I said, my second, probably right behind Blood Sugar Sex Magic, is this particular album. But that is going to do it for this episode. We'll be doing, in a few days, we'll be doing another video for 1999. We'll be doing a movie, and we'll be following that up with a video game. And then we'll be starting over again with our 5th cycle of and starting in after that for 1990 again, going all the way through the decade. But that's going to do it for now. So thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.